Good morning, everyone, and welcome to February's BenQ Education webinar. This month, we're going to be talking about mastering BenQ IT Tools, a deep dive into AMS, DMS, and IAM, and we're even going to throw a little something extra in at the end for you. So good morning, I'm Carly. I'm going to be your host for this morning's webinar. Joining us as well is good morning again. We have Ryan Hood, our field application engineer, joining us over in the studio this morning for the hands-on portion of our webinar, talking about the tools and the things that set us apart with the BenQ board. We're going to go ahead and kick into it now. Again, just really quick, if anybody has any questions as we're moving through each of the different pieces of software, please don't hesitate to throw your questions into the chat box. And within the chat box, you will be able to ask those questions, and we're going to pause after each section of software so that people can get their questions answered in that same mindset or in that same vein. And before we move on to the next piece of software. So as we get going, we're just really quickly going to hit on what we're going to be talking about this morning before we turn things over to Ryan for the hands-on. So first and foremost, we're going to be talking about device management system, which is DMS, our little abbreviation for it. It is how you manage your BenQ display from a dashboard, how you get all of your apps and all of your over-the-air updates pushed out from your office. As an IT director, this is huge. This means that you don't have to go touch every single board. Ryan's going to hit on all of that as we get into that section. Next, we're going to talk about the identity access management software that comes. All of these items we're talking about today do come standard with the board and are subscription free. Identity access management allows you to be able to sync all of your teacher identities wherever you have them stored and whatever security you have against them through a single sign-on with our platform. Doesn't live on our servers. Ryan's going to hit on all of that for us briefly this morning. And then we're also going to talk about our account management service, AMS, for you IT managers. For all of the teachers out there, it's your all my stuff folder that you see on your dashboard. This ties all of your cloud devices to your persona in the back end of BenQ so that you can tap into any board or log into any board anywhere on campus and have access to all of your stuff. And then finally, we're going to hit on very briefly here at the end, one of BenQ's tools that most people aren't aware of, which is our Xsign broadcast announcement system. That, again, comes standard on every board that allows you to send out information all across your district and campus with a quick post in the back end of this system. And it can go to every board on campus, or it could go to specific boards. It can do morning announcements and all sorts of cool stuff. And Ryan's going to hit on that as well. So as we get going now, I'm going to turn things over to Ryan. Give me 1 second to, hang on a second. We're going to make Ryan the presenter. And I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. I'm going to stop sharing. And Ryan, we're going to turn things over to you now, sir.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope so. Okay.
Okay, now it says he's hearing.
There we go.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. I just wait real quick. Okay, so let's jump into it. Just like Carly was saying, we'll start off with the DMS. This is the major thing for all the tech people out there. I'm logged in right now to a school I've been working on every single day, basically, and every day we're putting in boards. They're being registered into DMS with specific names, so you know where they are. It's very handy to use. So I'm with Richardson ISD right now, and we're in our splash, or our splash page, the dashboard. It gives you an overview of everything that's happening. You can see that there's 458 devices online. There's some carts that aren't online exactly. You can go in and see who's online. So it's handy to actually see that the boards are powered up and people are using them. And next, we do have this window for updates. So you can see like there's a firmware that was that's ready for update, and that came out on the 3rd. So we were able to actually push that remotely. So that's big. That's what we're mentioning, is that you don't have to go and touch every board every time there's a firmware update, because we do like to squash bugs and keep up with any new updates and all the Google security patches that we have for our EDLA boards. So that's nice to have it remotely. And it shows the event log. So I did push these firmware updates to 414 boards. And then there's a couple that the teachers actually turned off. So we had to tell them to go turn them back on today to do the update. So that's all done remotely. Then you can come down here. There's all kinds of other just random things that you can look at, like the app usage. Teachers love their slides, so they're using Google Slides all day long, the Chrome browser, and also our casting with InstaShare 2. So you can see the most popular apps that are being used at any one time. There's also Wi-Fi traffic of whatever everything's being used for. Google Play Store, it's probably just big traffic for downloading apps, since like we said, it is the EDLA certification, so that teachers can use everything on the board itself. And there's energy consumption reports. If you want to get down to the nitty gritty and brass tacks of things, you can see the average temperature in the rooms, average humidity, because we do still have the sensor built into the front of every single RP board, our premium board, so it can actually real time show you the CO2 levels in every room. This is just the average TVOC, and even dust sensors that are built into it. And all these details that we're looking at can actually be exported. So you can come over here and download the list of what your dashboard's showing for everyone, so you can save that for future use. And it does save up to like 6 months in the past, so it'll be readily available up to 6 months, and you can just save it out that way. So once we start getting into the devices that have been registered, it takes like 2 seconds to register them with an app on your phone. You scan a QR code, it comes on the app, you can rename it to whatever you want and put it in different groups. So that's a really cool thing that we have. We have all these different elementary schools with their different names. You can, subgroup them like crazy if you wanted to. I think this one, yeah, so one of these. So you can have like folders within the folders, just to get real granular on where you're putting all your schools, or just look at a specific school itself and find the room number and the naming convention that you've done for that. This also lets you select different columns of what you want to see. So you can actually come in here and see the MAC address, see the IP address, and even the serial number. So it gives you lots of data right on this page. So if you have something, random MAC address that's not registered with your network, you can come in here, find that MAC address, and make sure that it's in the right list on your side. So the device list is very fun to use. You can do groups. You can also do different tags for searching for devices. So if I want to search for a certain one in Audelia, I can come over here and look for a device name, look for a specific MAC address, and find that board and see, if it's online, where it actually is with our DMS system. So our DMS has been worked on. This is an in-house product, so we've been able to add things that you, as the tech people, have wanted. One of those is actually policies. I can come in here and actually create different policies and just say, I'll just do a test policy for you real quick. Add it. So from here, you can edit it again. It's not applied to any devices right now. You can see how many devices actually have your policy. You can come in and change the wallpaper. And all the boards actually have their own customized wallpaper. I don't know if you've seen too much about BenQ stuff, but everybody has their profile. When they come and tap their NFC card to log in, which I'll go over here in a second, their wallpaper will show up. But you can actually override that if you wanted to from here. The real thing that the policies are great for is certificates. So as long as you've connected the board to network one time, you have your certificates that are available. So any of your CT certs and all that stuff, you can come in and add your certificates. I don't have any on this computer, but you just drop your 3 certificates or whatever in there. It will go onto the board immediately as long as it's connected to network. And so you'll be able to have your security there. Also, we do have something called blocking apps now. So this is like a blacklist. The power of the EDLA is so you can come into the actual Play Store of the board and download things like Canva, use it directly on the board. You can do all kinds of every kind of teaching app from there. But then you also want to be able to block apps. So from here, I can toggle this on, and go to a Google Play Store and copy and paste a URL for like TikTok or Facebook. So if anybody has the store and they start downloading too much stuff, you can come in, put that URL in, and if they do download it, it will actually turn the app off on the board, so they can't do anything on it. It disappears the icon, it puts it in the back and hides it, so nobody can play around with that. Also, if you wanted to completely disable the Google Play Store, you can like download your top 10 apps of things that teachers are using. Like I said, they're using Slides all day, which is already preloaded on the board and comes in the firmware packages. You don't have to download that, but you can disable the Google Play Store and they can still use the Google apps on the board itself. So that can be done in a single policy, or we can add it to everybody that you want to just, cut them off. So you won't have that. Also update, this is a new thing that we have. So we have Easy Write, we have InstaShare 2, which are our home baked whiteboard and also casting. Now we can actually have the apps auto update whenever it sees an update available for that. This doesn't apply to anything that was downloaded to the from the Google Play Store to your board. But just having this always running in the background, you don't have to update Easy Write, because we're always adding nice little bells and whistles and things and making sure that the bugs are nice and squashed, and you don't have to keep up with that anymore. You just turn this as an automatic on. Now you can come in here with your network settings, and you can actually add a Wi-Fi remotely. As long as it was on your network at some point, it can receive this message. You can tell it to skip to the guest network mode guest network for just a little bit if you're doing some updates on your main board network, and then actually come back and switch it back to the other one, and then forget that guest network here all remotely. So it's a nice little tool to have. You can come in, there's just extra things that we did add. You can change it to different picture modes. If they're saying it's not bright enough, you can actually come in here and change the brightness of those boards all remotely. And then we have some advanced settings for key lock and remote lock, just in case those get pressed. Now a big one that we have, these are our apps that we have in our BenQ App Store. But now I can go down to InstaShare 2 EDLA. So if you are using InstaShare 2 with casting, Mac, PC, Chromebook, anything, now we're able to apply a policy to all your boards that let you go into the board itself and show the connection window. There's all kinds of different settings you can do, but now I can manage all the settings from InstaShare 2 from DMS and have them applied across your entire school. So there's like, the main one is like confirm before device shares content. That's a big one. We don't want, just stuff popping up all day long if the kids are able to do something. So we'll go ahead and turn this on, and that overrides something on the board. The teacher in the room cannot go and turn this off. So it's very important to have that kind of control from where you are. Then there's all kinds of crazy advanced settings. You can come in and actually disable Chromecast, for instance, disable Miracast, and then just have AirPlay or whatever you want to have on your policy. And once you're done with setting up that policy, you can hit deploy, and it shows you what we've done, and hit confirm. And then you can send out these policies by groups, by devices, by tags, anything, and actually go in with that same list that I was just looking at and search for, whatever board. So the one I have behind me is the one right there, and I can apply it to this particular board right behind me. I won't do it right now, but you can see how that works, and then it immediately goes since it's on the network. So it's really, really fun to have those policies available to you. You can go in and update the apps manually or push these apps out. If somebody really wants all the bouncy balls, pretty fun app, you can actually install these remotely on the boards from here. Remember, this is just the stuff that we've partnered with these particular creators like CuriPod. You can install CuriPod, and we have all these different random little fun games available. So those are the ones that just BenQ has. So you can push those out. Otherwise, use the Google Play Store on the board. Next couple of things is firmware. So you can see, I showed you a minute ago how some boards didn't accept didn't take the firmware. It shows how many boards need it. So there's 21 of those boards that the teachers turned off. I can hit update and then hit confirm. I'm not going to do that right now. They're probably in class, but this will actually push it over the air. It tells the board to go look for that update, download it and install it and reboot the board all remotely. I don't have to go and visit those classrooms. Also, what you can do is schedule these updates. It's pending right now. So this one actually has a schedule on it right now. So it was those that didn't accept it, it was at 2:05. I can actually delete this and do a new schedule. So again, I don't have to be right in front of my computer. I can say, all right, 5 o'clock, all the teachers are gone. The boards are going to be on. And then I can push the firmware at that time. I don't have to actually manually push it live. I can schedule that out. Part of that is automation. That's what we call it. It's basically powering on and off the boards. So I can come in here and create something else, another test automation. So I can go into my trigger settings. I can do power on, all kinds of different things. So I can do power on, hit next, and then what I want to do at that time. So this is kind of like, it's kind of like a policy, but more of an action. So I can actually have the boards switch input sources. I can have them change the sound, change picture. I can also free up the space, which means, you know, clearing all the app data for one. Free up space is deleting everything that's in the downloads folder of the actual board, and then optimize the device, which is closing all the apps out basically, all remotely from an automated state. But what you can also do is put it into like sleep mode, for instance, and add a different one. You can launch Easy Write or something, you know, do all kinds of different stuff with this automation. But let me go back here. So the automation is what we have this one for is like power on, power off. So we have them all powering on at 8 o'clock. Weekdays, they power off at 4:30. And you can actually have the firmware update. You can see Sunday at 2 o'clock, we had the power on. So that's when we scheduled the update. So the boards would power on, receive that scheduled update, and then not bother the class at that time. So that's really fun to have the automation here. So that's all done from this dashboard. Once the boards, like I said, are scanned quickly, usually if you're installing them, you'll touch it once just to set up a new device, and then you don't have to go from room to room to room to manage the boards. But yeah, so that is DMS right now. Do we have any questions about DMS before we jump over to IAM?
We have quite a few actually that have come in for you, Ryan. First, we have John Knutson. He's saying, if we're allowing questions on the RP04, can we manage Google Apps from the DMS, or do we have to physically log into the board to download Google Slides? I think you kind of answered on this a little bit.
Yeah, so the boards come with that firmware that has, you know, doc sheets and slides. It has YouTube already built into it, even Gmail and Google Meet. But you can't manage them from this console. Google will not let us get our fingers into their stuff. They're pretty hard to work with sometimes, but on the back end stuff. But I haven't seen anybody using these boards for quite a while now that you've had to go in and you know, mess with an app itself, because it'll let you as a teacher log into Chrome and it logs you into every single app. So it's part of the training that we offer too for teachers, because there's a whole tech side and a whole teacher side, and we can show them how to manage their own apps, and it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, wonderful. Is there a way to make the text larger? They're asking because they're having a hard time seeing your screen, I guess.
Oh, let me see if I can zoom in.
There we go. We've got it fixed moving forward for you, Donna. Sorry about that. It's a little hard to see. We also, is the power off and on only able to work when the panels are connected to the Ethernet for Wake Up LAN, or all RMO4s are connected to Wi-Fi?
No, so these commands for automation, it's not a live command. It's actually, you tell the board to go into its own settings, and so power schedule, it actually saves on the board itself. So it doesn't have to be in standby mode or anything like that to start using this automation. Even if the Ethernet or Wi-Fi get disconnected, it's still just baked into the device itself.
Got it. Is there a list of board models that show the most up-to-date firmware available and the version of EasyWrite that will work on that model?
Well, so we have EasyWrite 5 that's on our older models, and then all of the new models from the RPO 3, which was a couple years ago, RPO 4, and even RPO 5 that's coming out is all going to run the same EasyWrite 6 software. So it's going to be almost exactly the same across those models until you see like the super old models that were 6 years old now.
Yeah. We had one more question. Well, actually, a couple of questions. They're questioning in the chat and in questioning in the Q&A. So we're getting to all of them. Is there a specific? Oh, sorry, they're adding more. Hang on a second. Too fast for me. I apologize. The next one was, is there a way to export a list for the specific app to see what versions are on the boards? So on the back end of DMS, can you see what versions of apps there are on the boards?
Let me see here. Tech Wheels. Yeah, you can go to this detail info and see all the apps that are on it. But like I said, you can't go in and see every tiny little app. Like there's Chrome, for instance, super popular. There's Classroom. I don't think anything else is on here. There's Docs, but you get to see like the Gboard for the keyboard, the Gmail, all that stuff. You can actually see it from here, but you can't actually manage it from, you can't go in and say, okay, I want Gmail update. You can basically just come in and see the version or uninstall it remotely.
Okay.
So that is another thing I didn't touch on, by the way. If I click this little eyeball, it'll actually disable Gmail for the board. So you can remotely just disable something that's already on the board. It's a little different than blocking the apps, but this is another cool little feature.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Sandy wanted to know, where did you go in automation to get a web page to auto load?
Let me go back in here. Let me see. So you can auto load an app, but let me see here. So after you boot it, so you can go in here to launch website. So you can either just have it open the browser, open EasyWrite, or it can launch a specific website. And then you just input that, whatever, Wikipedia.com, for instance, hit apply, and then it will, after it boots, it will automatically launch the Chrome browser into Wikipedia.
Okay.
Cool.
When you were going through the different models and which versions of EasyWrite and stuff that they have, could you maybe at the end of this chat pop that into the chat so that CP can know what the models are? Or is that accessible on our BenQ Academy or somewhere else, or in the Genie?
I think it's actually on the Service Genie.
Okay.
So we do have a whole website that we keep up with all the updates of things. Like if firmware comes out, we'll have all the lists. There's also basic how-tos for tech getting started. And it's right here, actually. So it's finally a sponsor link. So you can come in here and just look at, getting started. It has all kinds of different links here. There's software management. So you can come into like EasyWrite and go to the user guide. There's the board and user resources. There's quite a few things that you can do with an EasyWrite. Quick links right here. Okay. We can put that link in the chat too.
Yeah. Grab that. All right, and then we also had John. You mentioned the RPO 5. He wants to know when it's being released. Right now, the plans for the RPO 5 are probably this time next year. At least that's what we're hearing. Maybe January next year. So we're at least a year out from that new model coming out for you, John. So be on the lookout. We just had the new version of the RE come into stock earlier or at the end of last year. So it'll be a little bit before we have a new RP version come out. They're asking, Nicole is asking, can the older models, older than the RPO4, retain Google credentials in Chrome so users don't have to log into the Google accounts upon every use? And the answer to that should be yes.
Yes. So remember the RO4s are the first boards that have Google certification. So it has a Play Store, it has all the native apps on the board. But on the RPO3, we partner with Google a little bit to use the Chromium app. So it's like a very baby version of Chrome. But there's a way that you can actually save your settings on the RPO3 on that same board whenever you tap to log in.
She can't see.
Yeah.
You just have to type.
And then we had a question from Charles Watson where he's asking, he wants to export a list to see which boards have InstaShare 2, 1.6.0, and 1.6.2. So is that in the same area that you were just showing a minute ago? Where you can see which versions?
I don't know if it's on the dashboard. Oh, go down there. Click there. Let's see. So I exported it, and then you can actually view the details also. And that's just usage. Let's see. Too fast here. So you can see app installation, then you can come over here to view devices that have it. And you can't really export it, but you can like filter it through. So all this 8604, we did update these so you can see the app version right here. And then you can actually filter it. If one has an older version, it'll come up on top. So yeah, these have a little bit different versions because these are guys that weren't plugged in. So 1.5 and 1.4, but we can't actually export this directly.
Okay. So there's not an easy way to, you can't export it, but maybe you could screenshot it and build your own somewhere else. There's just not a way to export it as far as like into an Excel spreadsheet so you can kind of see where things are at.
Yeah, and then if you come here, you can hit install because you just saw that there's some, so you can just do by devices and select all. Yeah. Then it will actually push it out to all the devices that don't. It'll push it out to the devices that don't have it. The devices that have that version, it won't change anything. It'll just kind of stop it.
Correct. There was another question regarding exporting materials from the DMS dashboard into a CSV file so that they can add them to their own reports for the school administration. If not, can we add it to the wish list?
Yeah, we can add it. It just comes out as a PDF right now, as you can see. But it's just basically a screen capture of everything we were looking at a minute ago. But yeah, I do know what you're talking about. We're working on a way to make that a little more fluid.
Okay. And then we have a couple more. Hang on, I'm sorry. This is a very popular topic. Is there a way to remotely wipe unused user profiles from the boards?
We are working on that actually. Right now, you would have to go to the board and delete the user profile. As an admin, you'd come to the board and delete their profile on our DMS app on the board. That's one thing that we were trying to get over here under policies to be able to wipe a specific user data off there.
Okay. And then the next one, is there a way to auto group devices?
No, not right now. Basically, whenever a board gets scanned in on the DMS app, it goes to the all devices. You can see this one doesn't have a group, the one right behind me, but I can actually select it and take it and drag it where I need it to go. And it will just drop down like a folder system.
All right. And then another question from Corey. Can we reach out to you, Ryan, directly to go over to how to get the RPO3 boards to save login credentials?
Yes, reach out to me. I think there might be an article on the Service Genie now because we have a big school that was using that exact same thing. I might have the article. I'll get with you after this.
Okay. And then it would be nice to have a way to build inventory reports and export CSV from the dashboard can we have this as a feature request, primarily list of installed apps, app usage, power consumption, etc. I think it kind of goes down to the ability to be able to automate or integrate it into the format that their administration team is used to looking at, like in a Excel, but in a CSV, so that the data can be moved easily. So if we can put that or have that added to the wish list from headquarters, that would be great.
Okay.
All right, I think that's all of the questions we have, at least for now, for DMS. Let's move over to the next software piece so we can talk about that.
All right, so this is the Identity and Access Management, BenQ IAM. So I'm still on this Richardson account here. Excuse me. And so what they've done is used a single sign-on with Microsoft Azure. So you'll just create a admin account, and then you can log in to this page and then come to this SSO setting. This is super popular. And we have a few different SSOs that are available. So you can see the SAML is active right now with Richardson. You can come in and see all their crazy identifiers and repliers, all that stuff. Don't want to touch that, but you can come in the SSO. We have LDAP, which is the on-prem SAML. So if you do have one that's actually on-prem, you can use that. But the most popular ones are Microsoft and Google Workspace SSO. And right here, there's a little I button. If you guys haven't used it, you can just click this and it walks you through, step-by-step baby steps of how to link this up with your Google Workspace account and then bring all your user groups or whatever teacher group that you want to bring in. We also now have ClassLink available, ClassLink SSO, and then newly added Clever SSO. So these are a little bit different. So Google Workspace and SAML, they automatically get dropped into your user group, and then it populates all the people. You can see there's 7,000 teachers at this place, so there's going to be a lot. But the teachers, if you use the other SSOs, they actually have to go in to this AMS system and log in one time for them to have a little check mark that shows active. Otherwise, there'll be a little red X. So that's the only thing besides those that the ClassLink and Clever, that it's a little bit different, but they still work, no problem. And yeah, it's awesome. And then we do have the option of doing two-factor authentication. You can do that if you want to. You can also turn it off at any one point, but that's another option that a lot of people were asking for. So whenever you do have somebody in, you have your groups, 100 teachers, 200, however many, you can come over here to this group and do like principals, middle school principals, admin. So I can come in here and create whatever group that I want, all kinds of different groups, and then come over and add people manually. Or I can go over to the service permission and turn these on for groups and basically give people certain things. Like for teachers, we're only going to give them AMS as a user. So whenever they log in here, they don't see the DMS side. So they're not poking around too much. Also, you can come in and just give options for DMS if you have an on-site tech person that you really trust, and they can see DMS and AMS whenever they log in. But most of the time, we just keep teachers with AMS only. So it's nice to have those little group permissions. There are different roles that we were kind of playing with. It's more of a group thing now, so you don't really have to mess with that. But then there's also external agent. So if you have somebody that's working, working with you, if they're doing the installs or something else, you can put their email in, hit their company, and then hit set, and that will bring them as an external agent into your IAM without adding, like your official school email to them or setting up an email for them to use.
All right, yeah. Wonderful. All right, so let's kick through the questions that we have at this point. We have one that came in just as we were moving on to the new topic, saying his school district mostly has the RE 6501. Are there issues we will run into when it comes to apps, firmware, etc., dropping off and not working fully or properly due to the age of the BenQ?
No, the RE01 board, it doesn't have the Google certification, but you can still do everything that I'm saying here. So that's a good point, because this system, the IAM for all of the teachers and all this, everybody, goes on every single board that we have, even our older boards, because we're using a cloud-based system. So if you get new boards like a slow rollout, or you got a 03, you got 04, you got 05, I have some schools that have all kinds of different boards, well, 05 in the future, this will not change. So you don't ever have to come in and, you know, revamp it all. As long as you have a BenQ board under your account, like Richardson here, it's going to show up and any teacher can log into it. Also, the older ones, you could still manage the apps through BenQ DMS, because that's pretty much the only apps that you'll really be using. So you can still manage the REO ones through DMS.
Correct. All right, I think that's catches up all the questions on this section. I'm going to give everybody 1 second to see if any more questions pop into the Q&A or the chat before we move on to our next piece of software. You want to go ahead and move on over for us, Ryan?
Yep. So this is the AMS. This ties very closely in with the IAM. So once you brought them in to your IAM, they're active. The teachers can now log into AMS. The teachers themselves, I'll show you what that looks like. It's under personal settings. They don't see any of this other stuff. It just takes them to one single landing page where they can customize their profile picture, their wallpaper. As you can see, the board behind me has this wallpaper. So we can change it every day if you want. And then there's like things that they can't change, like logging out. The boards will automatically log out at 30 minutes for security, but I'll show you a way that we can set that to never. It's awesome. You can also pin apps as a teacher. And there they are. So you can just like click different things and it'll pin it to the home screen, because I have a few apps that are available. And then here, there's Google Drive and OneDrive to link. So the teachers will come in here one time and link or relink, whatever drive that they want to put with to follow their login. And then at the very bottom is personal bookmarks. So you can have them actually import all of their bookmarks from their Chrome browser. It shows them how to do that. So you really don't have to use your device, your PC or Mac. You can actually just use everything from here. So there's a couple different ways to do that, and this does apply to every board model also. For the admin side, there's the user management. You have a few global settings. You can connect a network drive if you have an actual hard drive on campus. And then you can go to cloud storage. You can see that under here we've unchecked Box and Nextcloud and Dropbox, because we don't want teachers to have access to that. So that'll be a global setting for all teachers. And then you can come to bookmarks. So if you do have something like ClassLink, see, you can push this out to every single person in this user list right away. So they don't have to manually go do it. So I can come over here and go to my bookmarks and hit ClassLink. And I didn't have to add that as a teacher. It actually just comes up right on my profile, no matter where I am. So that's done by the admin. And then of course there's the idle session logout that I was telling you. So we change everybody's to 0 so they don't log out. So on our RPs and now our RMO4s, not every board has the option of using a little NFC card here to log in. So, but if you do have these options, you can come down, input the serial number and bind it to this particular person. This does take effect immediately because it's cloud-based. So if they do lose it, you can say, if they report it, and of course, you can actually remove it and it disables the card immediately. There's no like 24-hour period. So some people ask a lot. So you get we have our nice BenQ, teal ones. For this Richardson account, they do use door badges from Verkada that actually do work also. So there's a few that do work also. So it just depends on the format of the NFC that you have. So you can always check that out beforehand, or just use that card. Also, what you can do whenever you're logging in is actually use your phone and the QR code at the login screen and save your credentials, the same credentials that the teachers use to log into this AMS system. They could save it on their keychain of their phone and scan it here, press OK, scans your face and logs you in. So there's a few different ways to actually log into the board, but the NFC card is very, very handy. And then equipment management.
Hey, real quickly before we move off the NFC card, something that we heard from a lot of people at the national show we were at last week is that they were really excited because we've had a couple of teachers or IT directors tell us they're using the NFC cards and creating a sub card for a specific campus so that if a teacher is out, they can upload their lesson onto that sub card, and that way they're not having to share passwords or access to their board in any other different way. So that's something I just wanted to kind of just drop in real quickly while you're talking about the NFC card portion.
Yep. That's very, very popular to do that. Yeah. Like check out a card at the beginning, even if they run away with it, you can just disable it from here. So
Disable it like within minutes. Yep, you're correct.
Yep. Yeah, and then equipment management. You can come in if you wanted to and set up the equipment management. You can change the name here if you want. There's something called authentication mode, which on our RPO4s, the new board, there is a guest and a login down here in the bottom. The authentication mode will take away the guest mode, so nobody can even get on the board unless they have a login. The guest option is another option for substitutes. It doesn't access any other profile, and once the board logs out, it deletes everything that happened. Everything that was an easy write, everything that was downloaded, it just washes it clean with that guest mode. But you can take it away with authentication mode. But yeah, there you go. And yeah, so that's it for AMS. Teachers would maybe log in here once or twice a semester to change their wallpaper or to update their bookmarks. But other than that, you kind of set it and then just use the board itself. Yeah. All right, any questions on AMS?
We had a couple come in. We had a couple people say, thank you so much. What you've been sharing so far has been super helpful. Jim Trilor asked, are there RFID cards that also have NFC chips in them? We're having a really hard time finding ones that could work both for the Aviglion system and BenQ.
I'm unfamiliar with that protocol for the bullion, I guess. But the ones that we sell are they're the basic type of NFC. So there's like 4 different types of NFC. So, and like I have these on this keychain because they actually interfere with each other. So I have to like pull my HID door badge out separate from my BenQ, or they basically cancel each other out whenever they get close to the tap, NFC tap or the HID. But yeah, there's not like a 2-in-1 card. There's one that works for the BenQ. It also perhaps works for the door, but like HIDs definitely don't even, you can't even have them near while you're scanning either a door or the BenQ.
Gotcha. So we had somebody, Olivia, mention that her NFC card randomly stopped working and won't allow us to log in using it. Where can she go for help for that?
Well, of course, check on this page to see if your NFC card is still on there, just in case. If it's not, then you can take it off and add it back on. Also, inside of the settings, depending on which board model you have, let me see, where is it now? We'll have to find it, but there's a way to actually turn off the NFC on the board itself. Sometimes it gets kind of switched off accidentally if you're like poking around. But in the settings, I'll try to find the exact location for you, but you would have to turn the NFC back on. Yeah. And if those don't work, then give our TSC team a call, and they might walk you through like resetting your board completely.
Yep. So we have a couple of other questions that popped in. We have Corey says, I have a teacher who logs in with their NFC card and then the board resets. What could be causing that?
I'm not sure. Does it happen on every board that the teacher logs into, or just that one board?
Well, he's saying he has a teacher that logs in. So okay. Let me go see if he's added another note here. Yes, every board. It's that same persona, but every board. I don't think it's every teacher. Corey, can you let us know if it's every teacher or if it's just that one NFC card? just the one teacher. So it's just that one NFC card that when they log in with it, regardless of which board, it resets everything on the board.
Yeah. You might need to delete that card. I just need to get a new card for you.
Yeah, might just be a lemon of a card. We also, they're saying they want the staff to be able to use the same door badge. John Knutson said we use NFC stickers that we link to the user's account and they stick them on their phone or their staff ID, which they always have on them. That's another idea as well. You don't necessarily have to use our BenQ NFC cards. There are some cards, I think, on Amazon, Ryan, and other places that you can buy that you can just activate as well. You just have to make sure that it's compatible with the NFC technology for the board, which should be available on the Service Genie.
Yep.
And then, let's see. And then, yeah, we have another somebody, Alex, also said they're having the same issue with their NFC. Maybe the setting is off, so they're going to check that. And then from the administration side, we have Charles again. Is there a way to define the idle session globally to be set to 0 never so that that way the new teachers start in the middle of the year, they don't default to 30 instead of going into AMS randomly to change it?
Yeah, so whenever you hit this idle session, there's this button to override settings for all users. So this is a global setting, whether teachers come in or out. And then just like under my profile here, this is set to never log out, and right here, set by administrator. So I can't even change it if I wanted to. From this side, I have to log in as the administrator to change that.
I gotcha. We had another question come in. I apologize. I'm trying to bounce between both platforms. Corey shared, as long as the NFC is a MyFair Classic 1K, it will work. We have stickers and keychains for login. So that's just for everybody who is wondering about that. And Corey just shared that. So that was really nice. Thank you, Corey. Over in the Q&A section, we did have a question from Angie. Can you go over how to do a sub NFC card? We have one sub Gmail account for each of our buildings and may have multiple subs in a building. So could you help explain maybe how a school could think about maybe doing one per grade, per discipline, or something like that? Hopefully you don't have all your 4th grade science teachers go out at the same time and need multiple, but could you share a little of that for us, Ryan?
Yeah, so if you're using SSO to get all your teachers in, see these are all SSO, you can also manually invite some emails. So yada, 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 and then have more. Email, and then you can add a whole bunch of different random Gmails manually.
Mm-hmm.
This won't update passwords, like SSO will, but you can put everybody in that you're going to have. You can have job title, substitute. You can even put the office location just to see, and then you can come in and see the job title and different things and even search for them from here. But once they're in IAM, you can come over to the AMS system and find them under the NFC by searching here at gmail.com and then plug in their NFC card right there. So however you want to structure that, like we we're saying, one sub per floor or something like that, or one for every teacher, who knows, you could do that there.
Okay, wonderful. We had a question again from Edwin. In IAM, if possible, it would be, sorry, so many questions are flowing in. I love it, guys. You guys are doing a great job of getting us lots of information so that Ryan can answer your questions. Would it be possible if you can allow the search to retain previously checked users when we add group members? Is each time we search, it clears all the previously selected users, so it makes it really difficult to add large numbers of different named users? That one's a mouthful.
Yeah, so you're talking about in IAM?
Yes, sir.
Like that. Yeah, it doesn't, it's a different search field. It doesn't really, yeah, if you select somebody and you go to edit them and I go back to accounts, it doesn't save the search. So I can put that on our wish list.
That would be great. Thank you so much. I'm sure that, hang on, who was it that sent that, please? Edwin would really appreciate that. We had a question from Angie. Oh, they're saying Angie just responded back saying that each of their buildings just has one sub email address for the whole building. So I'm not sure how we would troubleshoot that for them. It might be like where they come into that sub email address and then knowing what class that sub might be assigned to, you could then have an NFC card that you could throw that onto. We'll have to troubleshoot that for you. Maybe we can find a way to create a document, a walkthrough document on that, because I know there's a lot of schools that are asking questions about that when we're talking to them at the shows. We also had Tovar asked if someone gets married and or has a name change, can we change it in AMS or would we have to create a new name as a new user?
So if you have it in, if you're importing with SSO and you change it in your Azure portal, their name changes, it will change over here also. If you are someone who is just manually going to input 20 teachers with this invite button, you would have to delete that account. Actually, not anymore. You could actually come in and edit the account from here. But you can always deactivate it. But yeah, you can't actually change the email. That's what's already put in on SSO. But if it was manually input, then you could come in and change this email. But it'll have like a little field, little edit icon over here.
Yep. All right. All right. Do you want to very briefly, I know we're running short on time. Do you want to very briefly show everybody a little bit about Xsign Broadcast?
Sure. So this is a piece of, because BenQ also we do digital signage pieces for like malls and things and TVs and all that stuff. So we took a little piece of that and put it over here on our broadcast page. So what you can do is have all these different kind of groups and tags. It doesn't sync with the DMS ones because you can have like things crossing over as many times as you want. So it's kind of fun to use those. But I can come into this this particular board here, and I could actually schedule out some media to be played on it. Let me click a little time period so I can see the time. Set it. I can even set it to all day, so it'll just play whatever I'm sending out. But you have options like you could see a little text window. It'll overlay on top of the board and just scroll like a ticker tape. Also, we can do images. You can have them rotating, so it's like a digital signage piece, or just at 11:55 the lunch menu goes up for 2 minutes, then goes away and goes back to the Android screen. Then the coolest thing is video. A lot of schools are using this for morning announcements. They are pre-recording like their students, whatever they're going to talk about for the day, uploading it to our server and scheduling it out for like 5 minutes after homeroom, and then it plays across all the boards that you've selected with those tags. Another cool thing is you can actually do YouTube links. So you could find something you're going to show on YouTube, and it'll have a big YouTube logo that comes up and then plays the video and then goes back to the Android side. Another really cool Easter egg for this is if you want to show like a live YouTube, like if you're watching the news or something, as long as it's a public link, you can drop that YouTube link in here, and with a little bit of a delay, it will actually show live YouTube broadcast. So it's cool if you have like basketball or something and you want to blast it over to overflow room or something, you can do that with that YouTube link. So it's very, very cool to use. You can even use audio, like if you're doing Pledge of Allegiance, it'll actually play out of the board. Then there's like file and template. These are kind of the older things we have. You can see that's how old it is, coronavirus prevention. Yeah. So I really like the video, image, and text options for broadcast. And so this stuff, like, signage is pretty expensive. This doesn't cost you anything with the price of one board. So if you already have it, you can go ahead and play with it all day long right now. Same with DMS, AMS, everything comes with the board itself. So there's no extra cost to run all the stuff that we're talking about today. So that's a big thing to remember.
Right.
Yeah, any questions on broadcast?
We do have one. I just real quickly before we go to the questions. I know there's a lot of schools that are using this not just for morning announcements or not just for the music to be played for the Pledge of Allegiance. They're also using it for, it's called XSign, but it's emergency broadcast basically. So if somebody were to come on campus or something to that effect, they're using this as a way to notify people without like broadcasting it over the PA system, which allows your classrooms and teachers and stuff like that a little bit of prep time before the person or people who are in campus are notified that you know that they're there. So it gives them a little bit of like prep time ahead of time. A lot of IT directors we've talked to over the last couple of months have been really excited about that and have shared some information. So if you have more questions about that, we can answer those. We have another question from Tovar. Does it have to be with the BenQ board, XSign? Can you use it with any other smart TV?
No, this is something that we built into the board itself. There's an app that's preloaded on all of our boards, which is the broadcast app, and that's how it talks from our broadcast server to our boards. Yeah, other people try to use it, but they don't. It doesn't quite work, or doesn't work actually.
Yeah. I will also say, oh, you bounced out of that, but can you go back in? I also back into, yeah, we lost your screen. The other thing is you can within IAM, I believe is where it's at. You can give certain people, so like principals on campuses and stuff can be given access to XSign broadcast so that they can do the morning announcements, and maybe it's your IT director or maybe it's your front office administrator. They can have access so that if something does happen on campus and you need to get an alert about, if you live in Texas, like most of us, at least here in the marketing office, we're in Texas. If there's a weather occurrence that you need to make sure everybody's aware of, but not like blasted over the PA or something to that effect, you can do it from the boards, but your office administrator or your principal or assistant principal can have access as their back end portion of IAM. So that's where these all kind of tie together, and that's why we wanted to make sure we shared all of this. Jason shared, we use a mass notification system called Alert Us. He's asking, does XSign have an open API that will allow them to communicate, to send out messages such as there's a lockdown or something like that?
No, currently we don't have an open API for that. It's just something that's, they kind of set this as a small, tiny piece. If you want to get into some of the bigger things that with the more of a price, there is the broadcast, but XSign actually right here. But yeah, we don't have an open API to bridge another service.
Yeah, not at this point. But I want to really quickly, Ryan, thank you so much. I knew this would be a very popular session. You've done a wonderful job of helping to explain all of the software and capabilities that come with every purchase of a BenQ board. Again, completely subscription free. We hope this session has been really helpful for everyone. And if you have any questions, a recording of this session will be shared with everyone via a thank you email that'll come in the next 24 to 48 hours. We also will be raffling off a BenQ BrewMate cup. It's a 24-hour cold cup that doesn't leak. If you haven't joined the BrewMate bandwagon, like a Stanley bandwagon, come and find it. But it's a really great cup, and we'll be raffling that off and notifying the winner via email here in the next day or two as well. Thank you again for all of your time. Thank you for all your wonderful questions. And Ryan, again, you're awesome as always. Thank you for making this easily digestible for all of us on the call and for helping inform our audience.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Yep. Thank you. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.